Okay. So picture this AI sifting through like tons of medical records, right? And it's spotting signs of cognitive decline even before like symptoms even start to show up. Sounds kind of crazy, right? Like something out of a movie or something. But that's what we're diving into today. Some groundbreaking research from Massachusetts General Hospital. And get this, they've actually built an AI system that uses, it's called LLaMA 38B, a large language model,
Yeah.
to, actually do this. And yeah, we're going to break down how it works, how accurate it is, all that. And yeah, what it means for the future of healthcare.
Yeah, no, it's super interesting. And it's addressing, a really big need in healthcare.
Totally. I mean, early detection for cognitive decline is so important, especially for conditions like Alzheimer's, where those early interventions can make a big difference. But the thing is, like, our current methods, they have limitations. Things like, the mini mental state examination or MMSE, they require in-person testing, which just isn't, feasible for everyone.
Yeah, for sure. And that's kind of where these large language models or LLMs, they come in, right? Because instead of only relying on, those in-person tests, they can analyze language patterns in clinical notes. And that makes screening potentially way more accessible and scalable.
Right, right. Okay, so can you walk me through this study? Like, what exactly did they do at Mass General Brigham?
Okay, so basically, they analyzed a massive data set of like over 3,000 clinical notes from 200 patients. And these patients were carefully, categorized into two groups, those with cognitive concerns and those without. And all of this was based on, thorough chart reviews.
Gotcha. And they used this LLaMA 38B specifically. Was there like a specific reason for that?
Yeah, so there were a couple of key reasons why they went with LLaMA 38B. First off, it's efficient enough to run locally, which is, really important when it comes to patient privacy. Sensitive data doesn't need to leave the hospital system or anything like that.
Right, right. Yeah, data privacy is a big deal for sure, especially in healthcare. So, okay, they had the model, the data. What did they do next?
Okay, so they basically developed two different workflows to test this out.
Yeah.
An AI-driven approach and one where clinicians were more, hands-on.
Yeah, interesting. So, like two teams kind of tackling the same problem from different angles.
Yeah, something like that.
Okay, cool. Let's start with the AI-driven approach. What did that look like?
Think of it as like a team of specialized AI agents, each with a specific job, and they're all working together to refine the prompt that's given to the LLM.
Hold on, prompt like what they're asking the AI to do.
Exactly. It's the instruction given to the LLM. Like, read this patient's record and tell me if you see any signs of, cognitive concerns.
Hmm.
And getting the prompt right is super important because even a small change can lead to inaccurate results.
Oh, I see. So these AI agents were like a quality control team, making sure the prompt was, perfect.
Yeah, exactly. There were six different agents, actually. One was like the lead clinician, reviewing the notes and saying yes or no about potential cognitive concerns. And then another agent would compare those answers to, the actual diagnoses from the charts. And they would calculate performance metrics like sensitivity and specificity.
Wow. So like built-in checks and balances with AI, like double checking its own work. That's really cool.
Right. And then if those initial results weren't accurate enough, other agents would, step in and analyze the mistakes, and then they'd suggest how to like tweak the prompt. And then summarizer agents would incorporate those suggestions into a new like refined prompt.
Hmm.
The whole thing was actually surprisingly efficient. Like it only needed 2 rounds of refinement to get to the level of accuracy they wanted.
Oh, wow. That's impressive. But you mentioned another workflow, right? One where clinicians were more involved. How is that different?
So in that one, human clinicians, they actually review the LLM's output. And they were mainly focusing on, cases where it made errors. And then they would use their expertise to like manually fine tune the prompts. They even used ChatGPT-4 for like further refinements.
Oh, wow. Interesting. So like a more, what's the word? Like a more hands-on, human-in-the-loop kind of approach.
Exactly.
I'm guessing that took a bit longer.
Yeah, it did. It took 4 iterations to get to the same level of performance. But, having that human element is interesting, right?
Definitely. It makes you think about like the balance between AI and human expertise, So two different workflows, both trying to improve the LLM's ability to, detect these signs of cognitive decline. What kind of results did they see?
So both workflows performed really well on the initial data set that they used to refine the prompts. The clinician-led approach, it got an F1 score of 0.90, while the AI-driven one got 0.91. So basically, yeah, both were very accurate in identifying which patients actually had cognitive concerns.
Okay, that's fantastic. But I'm guessing there's a but coming. There's always a but in research, right?
Yeah, pretty much. So they also tested the models on a separate data set to see how well they, generalize to new information.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, that's where things got a little, trickier.
Oh, okay. What happened? Did the accuracy drop?
There was a bit of a dip in performance, yeah, on that validation data set,
Yeah.
which suggests that generalizing to new data can still be a challenge.
Right. So there's still some work to be done there. But before we get into that, what really stood out to you about the results? Anything particularly exciting?
Let me think. You know what I find really fascinating is that the AI-driven approach, it actually achieved perfect specificity, like a score of 1.000 on both the initial and the validation data sets.
Whoa, okay, break that down for me. What does perfect specificity actually mean?
So basically, it means the AI correctly identified every single patient who did not have cognitive concerns. Not a single one was misclassified.
Wow. That's incredible. To be able to like rule out cognitive decline with that level of certainty. I mean, that could be huge in a clinical setting.
Yeah, totally. I mean, it could help to prioritize, patients who actually need further evaluation and potentially avoid unnecessary tests or procedures for those who are clearly not at risk.
Oh.
And think about like the peace of mind that would give patients.
For sure. Okay, so we've seen some, promising results here, but you mentioned challenges too. Let's talk about those. What were some of the hurdles the researchers faced?
Hmm. Well, one issue was that LLaMA 38B, it sometimes gave responses that like didn't follow the format they wanted. They wanted simple yes or no answers, but sometimes the model would give like more complex answers or even like go off topic.
Oh, that's frustrating. Did they figure out why it was doing that?
It just highlights a key challenge with LLMs, really.
Yeah.
They're amazing at processing language, but they can be unpredictable, and they don't always follow instructions perfectly. It's like having, a super smart student who sometimes just goes off on tangents.
Uh-huh. Yeah, I can see that. So even with these advanced AI systems, human oversight is still really important, especially in healthcare where accuracy is, so crucial. What other limitations did they run into?
So another limitation was relying solely on electronic health records, or, EHRs.
Right. But isn't that where like all the patient information is? What's the issue with using EHR data?
Well, the thing is, EHRs don't always capture the complete picture when it comes to, cognitive health. Like cognitive concerns, they can be underdocumented, especially, in the early stages. Like patients might not report symptoms, or doctors might not have time to thoroughly like document everything.
That makes sense. So the AI is only as good as the data it's given. If the information is incomplete, the model's performance is gonna, suffer.
Yeah, exactly. This study really shows the need for improving the quality and completeness of data in EHRs, especially when we're talking about cognitive health.
Yeah, it sounds like a catch-22, kinda. Like we need better data to train the AI, but we need the AI to help us collect better data in the first place.
Exactly. It highlights, how this research needs to be iterative and the need for collaboration between, AI developers, clinicians, and data scientists. We're all still learning and adapting, really.
Right, right. Okay, so this research has opened up a whole new avenue for like early detection of cognitive decline, but it also kind of highlights the areas we need to improve, right? Like, data quality and the model's ability to stay focused on the task at hand.
Yeah, for sure. It's exciting, but it's also challenging. It's a reminder that, AI is just a tool, and like any tool, it has its strengths and its limitations.
Right. Okay, this has been super insightful. We've learned so much about how AI is being used to, tackle this issue of cognitive decline, but there's still so much more to explore.
Oh yeah, absolutely. We've only just scratched the surface.
Yeah.
Yeah, and this study focusing on cognitive decline, it's really just like one piece of the puzzle, right?
Yeah.
AI is already being used in like so many areas of healthcare, from diagnosing diseases to even creating personalized treatment plans. It's pretty amazing how far we've come.
It really is. Like, it feels like just yesterday, IBM's Watson was making headlines for, beating Jeopardy champions. And now we're talking about AI that can understand, like, complex medical data and potentially save lives. It's mind-blowing.
It is. But it's not just about like the technology itself.
Yeah.
It's about how we actually like thoughtfully integrate AI into our current healthcare systems. Finding that balance between human expertise and, AI capabilities, that's going to be key.
Right. We don't want AI to replace doctors, right? It should be a tool that, like, enhances their abilities, helps them make more informed decisions, like giving doctors a superpower.
Exactly. Imagine a doctor who can, like, instantly access and analyze a patient's entire medical history. Their genetic information, the latest research, all with the help of AI. That could lead to faster, more accurate diagnoses, personalized treatments, better outcomes overall.
Yeah, like having a super smart medical assistant by their side, constantly, crunching data and providing insights.
That's a great analogy. And it's not just about doctors either.
Mhm.
AI can empower patients to, like, be more proactive about their health.
Oh, okay. I'm all ears. How so?
Well, think about like wearable devices,
Mhm.
ones that track your vital signs and use AI to, detect early warning signs of health problems,
Mhm.
or AI-powered apps, the kind that give you personalized health advice based on like your specific needs and lifestyle.
So instead of waiting until we're sick, AI could help us, stay healthy in the first place. That would be a real game changer.
It would. And, as these technologies keep getting better and more accessible, I think we'll see like a major shift towards preventative and personalized healthcare, one that, focuses on keeping people well rather than just like treating diseases.
Okay, I like the sound of that. But let's be realistic for a second, right? There are still some challenges we need to address. We talked about data bias earlier, but what about the issue of explainability? These AI systems can be kind of like, black boxes. How do we know how they're reaching their conclusions?
Yeah, that's a really important question. If we're going to, trust AI with our health, we need to be able to understand its reasoning. That's where explainable AI or XAI comes in.
Explainable AI. Okay, I'm intrigued. What's that all about?
So basically, researchers are developing AI systems that can like provide clear explanations for their decisions. So it's not just, a diagnosis or a treatment recommendation. It's about showing the logic behind it. What factors did the AI consider? What evidence did it use?
Gotcha. So it's not just about getting an answer from the AI. It's about getting an answer we can understand and actually trust.
Exactly. And that's especially important in healthcare, right?
Yeah.
Where those decisions can have, huge impact on people's lives.
Totally. I can imagine a doctor saying the AI recommends surgery, but they can't explain why. That wouldn't exactly inspire confidence.
Exactly. We need to be able to understand the AI's reasoning so we can, make informed decisions about our own health.
Right. So explainable AI is a big deal. What else is being done to make sure, AI is used responsibly in healthcare?
Well, regulation is another key area. Governments and regulatory agencies around the world, they're starting to develop like guidelines and frameworks
Yeah.
for, the safe and ethical use of AI in healthcare.
Okay, that makes sense. We need to make sure these powerful technologies are actually used to benefit patients and not, put them at risk.
For sure. And they're also like efforts to create standards for data privacy and security, which is, super important when we're dealing with such sensitive information.
Right. And then there's the whole debate about, who owns that data and how it can be used. It's complicated, right?
It is, yeah. And it's not just about data privacy either. We also need to think about like accessibility and equity.
Okay. What do you mean by that?
Well, we need to make sure that these, AI-powered healthcare technologies, they're available to everyone, not just a select few.
Yeah.
Regardless of, their socioeconomic status, where they live, or other factors, everyone should have the opportunity to benefit from these advancements.
That's a really good point. Technology should be a force for equality, not something that, widens the gap.
Right. And that means, investing in research, infrastructure, and education to make these technologies accessible to all.
Okay, so it sounds like we're at a really pivotal moment. We have these amazing technological advancements that could, revolutionize healthcare. But we also have responsibility to use them wisely and ethically.
Yeah, I completely agree. The decisions we make now, they're going to impact the future of healthcare for like generations to come.
Wow. Okay, so let's bring it back to the study we started with, the one using AI to detect cognitive decline from those clinical notes. What are the implications of this research? What does it tell us about the future of brain health?
Well, despite its limitations, this study, it gives us a glimpse into a future where AI could play like a critical role in preventing and treating cognitive decline. Imagine being able to identify individuals at risk years or even decades before symptoms even show up.
That would be incredible. I mean, it would give us so much more time to intervene and potentially slow down or even prevent conditions like Alzheimer's.
Right. Early detection is key. The earlier we identify those at risk, the more effective our interventions can be.
And this AI system could also, help us develop those more personalized treatment plans, tailored to each person's unique needs and genetic profile.
Absolutely. We could move away from a one-size-fits-all approach to dementia care, and move towards like a more precise and effective model.
So, while there's still work to be done, this research gives us a reason to be optimistic about the future of, brain health.
I agree. And I think it also highlights like the importance of collaboration. We need researchers, clinicians, policymakers, and patients all working together to make sure that these AI technologies are, you know, developed and deployed responsibly.
It's a team effort, right? It's going to take all of us.
It is.
We can't forget that, technology is just one piece of the puzzle. We also need to focus on those lifestyle factors that, impact brain health,
Mhm.
like diet, exercise, and social interaction.
You got it. It's about taking a holistic approach.
Mm,
We can't just rely on technology to solve, the problem of cognitive decline. We need to address it from multiple angles.
right, right.
But having AI as a tool, that gives us a real advantage. It can help us identify those at risk earlier, personalize treatments, and ultimately, improve outcomes.
For sure. Okay, this deep dive has been absolutely fascinating. We've covered so much ground, from the technical details of how this AI can detect cognitive decline from, clinical notes, to the wider impact AI could have on, like, the future of healthcare.
And we've only scratched the surface. This field is moving so fast, it's crazy to think about what the future holds.
I know, it's exciting and, a little bit scary at the same time. But I think the biggest takeaway is that AI has the potential to, like, really revolutionize healthcare, but we have to be smart about it. We need to be aware of the risks and committed to, using it ethically.
I couldn't agree more. We need to be realistic about the challenges, but also, embrace the amazing opportunities that AI offers. It's all about finding that balance.
Well said. Okay, so for our listeners out there, I'll leave you with this thought. As AI becomes more, integrated into our lives, including in healthcare, what role do you think we as individuals should play in shaping how this technology is developed and used? We've been talking about like all the benefits of AI in healthcare, but what about the other side of the coin? Like, are there any risks we should be thinking about?
Yeah, that's a great question. It's an important one too, Like any powerful technology, AI has, the potential for both good and bad outcomes. We need to be aware of like the potential downsides as we move forward.
Okay, so what kind of downsides are we talking about? Can you like give me an example?
Sure. So let's say we have an AI system that's, supposed to identify patients who are at high risk for a certain disease. But what if that system ends up like discriminate against certain groups of people,
Yeah.
even if that wasn't the intention?
Oh, wow. So even if like the AI wasn't programmed to be biased, it could still kind of, perpetuate those existing inequalities in healthcare.
Exactly. That's why it's so important to be really careful about the data that's used to train these systems and to, test them thoroughly for any signs of bias.
And it makes you think about like all the ways AI could be misused, right? What if someone used AI to, I don't know, like develop harmful drugs or create like targeted disinformation campaigns?
Yeah, those are definitely valid concerns. As AI becomes, more and more sophisticated, we need to be really careful about how it's used and put safeguards in place to like prevent that kind of misuse. That might involve, ethical guidelines, regulations, even like international agreements to prevent, things like AI weapons.
Okay, so it's not just about, advancing the technology. It's also about making sure it's used for good and, being prepared for those potential risks.
Exactly. It's a huge responsibility.
It is.
And it's one we all share, researchers, policymakers, tech companies, and just, everyday people. We need to be having these conversations about the ethical implications of AI and work together to make sure it benefits humanity.
This has been really eye-opening. I mean, we've talked about how this AI can detect cognitive decline and, like, the wider impact AI could have on healthcare.
And we've just scratched the surface. It's crazy how fast this field is moving.
I know, it's exciting and maybe a little bit scary too, but I think the main takeaway is that AI has the potential to, totally change healthcare for the better. But we have to be thoughtful about it and, proceed with caution.
I couldn't agree more.
Well, with that in mind, for our listeners out there, I'll leave you with this. As AI becomes more part of our lives, especially in healthcare, what role do you think we as individuals should play in shaping how this technology is developed and used?
Hmm. That's a good question. I think it's important for all of us to, stay informed and engaged. The future of AI isn't set in stone. It's something we're all creating together.
That's a great point. Well, thank you so much for joining us for this deep dive. This has been a really thought-provoking conversation.
It has been. Yeah. Thanks for having me.
And to our listeners, thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next time.